Hello, loves, and welcome to Tea Time with Monica. Today we have Tasha Chen, who is co-founder of Science of Getting Rich Academy. Now, y'all want to listen to this because she has a 5-day money attraction challenge coming up. We're gonna get to all that, but let me give you some tea on Tasha, okay? She is an expert in taking businesses from struggling and on the verge of giving up to opening their can of dreams again, having fun, and making money. Her wildly impactful manifestation, mind, and mindset training and coaching have helped entrepreneurs around the globe generate an additional 47.5 million. Y'all hear that? 47.5 million. Y'all know y'all want some of that money. So we're going to get this tea today. Now, they've gotten this in revenue and growing in the past 8 years. So she's been doing this for a while. So we've got to listen to her. She has a knack for seeing the big picture for others and also helps them see their own power. Her inspirational talks, the magic of manifesting, mindset, and developing personal superpowers, sells from the heart, and calling abundance. Welcome, Tasha. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are excited to have you here today. Now, I always start with the quote, and I think this quote will really kick the conversation off today. Money is energy. It is a means of exchange for goods and services as an exchange of the energy that you put into your work to receive money. Now, Tasha, how does this quote speak to you and your work?
Well, it's really interesting because as I shared with you today, we started the Money Attraction Challenge, and I know everyone listening is going to want to come play with that, right?
Yes.
So I was talking about imagining money as your lover.
Ooh.
And that's the way I'm going to answer that question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that money is your lover. And this lover of yours comes home and you're in a relationship with it. I want you to think about the energy that you're having in your relationship with money. And the way I learned about this was actually, I was doing some coaching for my romantic relationship. And I was working with my coaches and they were like, talk about your relationships of the past. What are some of the things that you see? And I realized I had a ton of fear. I had a lot of anger. I had been so disappointed in the past. When I tell you baggage, I had suitcases of baggage.
You say suitcases of baggage.
A ton. And it was like, as they started like painting this picture for me of my relationship with men, I realized, oh crap, I bring that same stuff in my relationship with money.
Hold on, now let's stop right there because I've never even thought about it like that. Like the fears that I have in my romantic relationships or friendships, how I'm bringing that into my relationships with my career, my money, my business. You don't even think about that type of stuff.
No. So today, during the day one of the challenge, I really put it out there. I was like, hey, listen, you just started this relationship. This guy, because I think most of your audience is women, right? So this guy comes into your life. You're not married yet. You're not tied to him, nothing. He's coming with anger. He doesn't trust you. He just comes with all this frustration all the time and overwhelm.
His own suitcases.
Yeah, right? And the baggage and his energy is like heavy. His energy is heavy. You have choices. The fishing pond is full of fish, right? And you know that. Are you going to stay in that relationship or are you going to go? Any common sense good woman is going to run as fast as she can. So think about that with your money. If the energy that you're bringing to your relationship with money is heavy, it's got a ton of your baggage of all the stuff that didn't work out in your finances in the past. You're just overwhelmed all the time. You have no gratitude because you're so focused on the lack of money that you're not even being grateful for the money that is there. Like in that relationship, is your boo gonna want to stay with you or go?
No, your boo is gonna run because you've got those suitcases of unwanted baggage of fear, like you said, fear and anger and just doubt. You can't move forward.
Energetically, you're not a match. And that's what happens. So many people are, when you talk about the energy you bring to money, so many people are looking at, God, I'm working so hard. Why can't I make ends meet? Why can't I make more money? Why can't I live the financial dream? But we're not talking about the energy that we have towards money. right? And
Yeah.
that is the angle that I come at when I talk about money. And the $47.5 million, not a penny of it I told anybody go work harder, not a penny.
What?
It's this stuff,
All
this that I'm
right. Well,
talking
let's
about
let's
right
get
here.
into this stuff because like I said, you just don't think about it. All we, most people, like you said, we think about, I'm not making ends meet. Like, I can't get this raise. I can't get, nothing is working. Like, I am, as me personally, as a single woman,
Mhm.
no one to fall on. Like I was just
Mhm.
telling somebody the other day, like, if I borrow money to help me, get over a certain hump, I still got to make ends meet, pay my bills, and give that money back because it's a borrow, it's a loan. It's not someone just handing me money,
Yeah,
constantly. So it's
yeah,
a struggle being single and wanting to grow and getting to these different things. So you're right. It's got to bring a different energy to it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about this manifesting money. How did you get into this and teaching and coaching people on how to do this?
Well, I tell people, listen, there are words getting thrown around out there like expert and influencer and all this stuff. I'm like,
Mhm.
me, I learned my lessons in the school of hard knocks,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So nobody could have ever told me that this is what I would be doing. I simply did it for myself first. And why did I need to do it for myself? I found myself filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. In
Wow.
case you don't know much about bankruptcy, that means you had so much money. You fell so far from grace that you need to file the bankruptcy that corporations file. So I filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Right after that, my husband asked me for a divorce. Right
Oh,
after that, I'm in and out of the hospital because stress,
yeah.
right? And it was like the trifecta of everything that could go wrong went wrong. And there was a period where every single day, Monica, every day, I dropped my kids to school and I drove back home to my house. I literally sat on the kitchen floor and I just cried. I went from
Wow.
fear to tears, fear to tears, fear to tears, till it was time to pick them back up, right?
Oh my gosh. But you know what? Let me just say something. Like, I'm reading this new book, and one of the things that it always says is when you're in your time of despair, when you're at your lowest point, like that's actually good because now you can start to see the light. Because
Well, that's
that
it.
saying, it's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. And for me, what it was is that when you asked me about how I came into manifesting, I was desperate. Like I
Mm.
had no income, but the husband's gone, right? He was the breadwinner of our family. The business is gone. Like I'm in paying bankruptcy payments. Like the bills are still there, the kids are still there, everything's still there. And for me, one afternoon I came home and stood at the mailbox. And I remember every day here in the mailbox are those overdraft notices, your late payments. You know how they do. They
Mm-hmm.
stamp the late payment on the outside of the
And all
envelope.
you see is dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun, like that red flashing,
yeah, that
right?
red flashing, and now my mailman knows all my business. Right?
And that hurts even more. It's just like, I don't want anybody to know I'm going through this crap.
So I'm literally going to the mailbox every day with this energy. And one day I happened to look over to the car because my kids were in the car right by the mailbox. And I looked over and my eye and my son's eye made eye contact. And I looked away. And in a moment, I was like, why are you looking away? You catch yourself. I'm like, why are you looking
Mhm.
away? I'm like, because I'm ashamed. I'm
Wow.
ashamed of where I am. And I said to myself that day, so help me God. I might not be able to do this transformation for me, but I will not have my kids have this legacy. And
Wow.
so it's like you make that decision in the moment, but what do you do next? And I'm going to tell you, I grabbed a journal.
Mm. I
I
love it. Hold
grabbed
on.
it.
Hold that up again. I want to see what it says.
It says, embrace possibility, live your dream. Honest to God, you can see how old it is. It didn't
But
even
I
matter.
love the quote there. Embrace the possibility because you had to embrace the possibility of being better than where you were.
Exactly. And I grabbed this journal, and when you talk about manifesting, all I knew was that every single day I cried in fear over money. And every afternoon there was proof of it in my mailbox. It was very clear. You're spending all your thought energy on fear
Mm.
and it's showing up every day. And it just clicked in my brain. I was like, well, what if I think something different?
Mm.
So nothing changed. I didn't get a job. I didn't marry some new guy with a ton of money. Nothing changed other than I realized that. And I said, I don't know what else to do except I'm going to start working on my thoughts. And I grabbed my journal. I'm going to show you. Page number 1, my life. right? See,
Yeah.
that's it. It's like, this is going to be my life. The very first entry, that's all that's on there. See, it says,
You wrote it down.
I can have money and freedom too. And I closed the book for that day, and that was that. I can have money and freedom too. And what I learned in doing this entire journal for that next year of my life, every time I had a fearful thought or a worry or a concern about money, I grabbed this journal and I wrote down the opposite of what I was thinking and fearing.
Wow.
I wrote it as if it had happened. I got divorced, I think 8 years ago. I have come to live everything that I wrote in this book.
That's amazing. That is, you had faith, you had belief, you had faith, you wrote it down, and then you went about business and you had faith that that would work.
And it did.
Wow. That's just a testimony in itself right there. Like how you were able to manifest in that way, but that was your light.
Yeah.
That journal was your light to come out of that darkness and that despair.
Yeah.
That is just so inspirational right there. So let's talk about, you changed your mindset, you changed your language. How do you discuss with your clients or the people that you're speaking to how to change their language about money so that they can have that freedom?
Yeah. So, for me, I think a lot of people don't realize what they think about money. They don't really realize what they're saying. And I tell people, if we are having a conversation about money and you start telling me, Tasha, I know I can make more money. I know I'm not making ends meet. And you start telling me the whole story. I'm like, I can assure you, I can predict your financial future.
Well, see, hold on, let's talk, because I got these things called student loans. And in this day and age, we're like, can somebody cancel them because they are
okay? So here
on your
this. Listen to this. That is a story that you're telling.
Yes.
And so here's the thing. You just told me that story, but what's really powerful, Monica, is there is a more powerful story going on in your subconscious mind. So you're telling me like 5% of the story. That's what comes out of your mouth. But in your head is, I'm never, ever going to pay these. I'm going to die with this. It's forever. It's a burden. There's no hope for me. And that's like going on in your head.
Can you not be the psychic in my head? You guys, she just pulled out. I didn't say, like, this is the first time we've talked. She has never, like, we found
I never met you before, right?
Instagram. She does not know, but yes, that is like how, because we make running jokes. People who have student loans make, like, y'all knew I ain't had this money when I signed the paper. I just needed this education. They said I needed to make ends meet and to live life and sustain in this society. And so now, like I said, we have to think past that. We can't let that be our focus. And I've been struggling with that myself.
And the question you asked me is like, how do I teach people how to change what they're thinking? The first part is to realize what you're thinking. We just walk around, anybody comes along, we just talk and then we carry on. And you don't even realize, wow, I just said that thing, which is that one whole other call we'll have to do on the power of your words. So I just said it, right?
Right.
But what's more important in the work that I do is if what you're saying is only 5% of what you're thinking, that means 95% of what you haven't even said is running the show in your subconscious mind. And guess what? All you're doing is telling the story. Once upon a time, Monica never got out of her student loans. She died with them and she never achieved financial reality.
I don't like that story. We have to change that narrative. Right now, look, the way you just said it, honey, I do not like this story.
But that story is going on.
So here's my journal. I have my Stay Golden journal. Let me get that today.
Well, let's talk about it right now.
Yes.
So that's what I did. I grabbed my journal. I was like, what is the story I want to tell myself? What is my life? And here is what I wrote. The second entry, right? I'm showing you to prove to you. I'm so grateful for my life and truly honored to learn that all I believe possible and wish for, I created with my thoughts. Even when it seemed too far-fetched, I dreamed anyway, knowing it all starts with my thoughts. I love the ease, fun, peacefulness, and laughter of my everyday life. It fills me with gratitude, knowing financially, I have the physical evidence of abundance in my life. I went on, I declared the house I was living, the car I was driving. I said, I love what I do that brings money. I didn't have a job or a business at this point. I love what I do that brings money to my life. It is the best use of my gifts and talents, and it comes so naturally and easy to me. The best part is all the fun I'm having. And I just went, I'm constantly smiling. So tell a new story. Tell a new story. I'm so happy and grateful. Wow, it's incredible how those student loans just went away. Don't even say paid off, went away.
Went away.
My client, right? I think we're going to talk about this, you and I, is money trauma. So I have a client.
Let's just get into that now. So because this is look,
Let's
we have the conversation. I always tell people the conversation. I may have my points listed, but that I want to touch on in a conversation. But the conversation leads where it wants to leave, and we'll get to everything when we need to. Yes. So money trauma.
I have this client, right? She's paid me to do the work, paid me to be in my program, right? She's in the program. She's an A student. She's doing every single thing I'm telling her to do. She calls me up one day and she says, Tasha, money is coming into my household, right, left, and center. It's trying to fly in through the windows. Here's the thing. Everybody in my family, down to her kids, were getting money in the mail. Everybody except her.
Wow.
She's the one paying me. She's doing the work. Her husband doesn't even believe in the program that she signed up for. He's making money hand over fist. You know it's got to be bad when your kids are getting money in the mail, right? And none of it's coming to you. And I was like, this is interesting. And I started talking with her because I knew immediately money trauma. Money trauma. That's the like culprit right here. So I started asking her some questions and I knew a little bit about her story. And long story short, during her teenage years, her father was dealing illegal substances, right? And using her, and she didn't even know. Anyway, he gets incarcerated. Their entire family goes to crazy. They're like all the shame on her in the community, all of that, lot of like really bad feelings. And why? Because of money. So this is years later. Her mom's living in her house with her. And I said to her, how's your relationship with your mom? Because she was saying, oh, my relationship with my dad, I want my kids to have nothing to do with him because of what he did. I said, how about your mom? She goes, my mom lives with me. I go, and how are things? We don't even talk. And why don't you even talk? And all of this is back to the traumatic time with the money. Right. So I showed her how to heal that trauma. You ready for this?
Yeah. I am. Look, I need to receive. And my audience needs to receive.
Right?
I need to receive. They need to receive, honey.
I'm in Jamaica 2 weeks after this phone conversation. On my vacation, I get a message in Facebook Messenger. She does a video. She's bawling. I'm watching the video. I'm bawling. I get my mom, my dad, everybody. We're all bawling watching it because she says, Tasha, I kept journaling that I want $100,000. I'm manifesting 100,000, 100,000. Why was she talking about this 100,000? Because she had $200,000 or $190,000 in student loans. And she was like, if I could just get a dent in it, right? If I could just get 100,000 to come from out of nowhere. We worked on the money trauma. And 2 weeks later, this video was telling me that she got a letter saying all of her student loans were, what do you call that? She like worked for the government or some, I can't remember the details.
Oh, that
they took it all away.
Yeah.
Literally overnight. Now you're going to say, well, I don't work for the government. You're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing the point.
Okay,
she manifested.
She manifested it. And it wasn't about how it happened. It's going to happen different for every one of us, right? It was that she healed the trauma she had around money.
So how did she heal this trauma?
Well, obviously it's a process that I teach, right?
Yes.
So what you don't know is hurting you. And for many people, they don't know they have trauma around money. So on day 3 of the challenge, the money attraction challenge, I list 13 different money traumas. You know what's eye-opening when people hear those 13 traumas? I go, pick the one that applies to you. 90% of the people pick all 13.
Wow. All 13.
All 13. Now we know what trauma does, right? If you've had a traumatic experience, and trauma does not mean abuse. Doesn't mean, because we always think, oh, I don't have money trauma because I didn't get abused. Doesn't mean abuse. It means it left you feeling unsafe, in fear, worried, anything that left you feeling like a part of you is just gone, you're in fear, is a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Right? So imagine that you are out there doing the best you know how to do to fix your finances, but you have 13 money traumas. You know what happens? What's going on inside of you internally, energetically, and even more powerful than the work you're doing so hard is inside of you. Just like if somebody had traumatized you, you would say, I want nothing to do with that person.
And
What's
you want
going on
nothing to do with
inside
the
of you?
money.
I want nothing to do with money.
Wow. That is an eye opener right there.
Hopefully you've gotten a few eye openers.
I have so far, but I was like, that's just even more like, I mean, thinking about your money, like you think about your relationships, like thinking about how you're talking, your mindset, and then thinking about, I'm not even thinking about all the stuff that made me fearful about money and money management and how money's going to come to me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think these are things that are so like,
think about, and you know what breaks my heart, Monica, is there are so many people, because this is me. I mean, I'm an island girl. I'm from Jamaica, you know, so all I knew how to do was to work hard for money. And it cost me my marriage. It cost me my health. It cost me, I've lost so much money. I mean, I had to file bankruptcy because I didn't realize that it's not about how hard I work for money. And so many people are working to the bone to make more. And the thing that's stopping them is all this stuff that they don't know. That breaks my heart.
Yeah, you just, that's heavy to think about. And to think about the fact that the people that come into your services, that they are traumatized by all 13 of the things that you list from money trauma. You can't just pick one. It's like, yeah, that too, that one. And how that is just keeping them down.
Yeah.
From having that abundance in their life.
Yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow right there. Because now I'm like,
that's why I do what I do. And
I know you're, like I said, you are bringing your light of how you overcame everything to everyone else. This is your light and you're working in it. This is your purpose and your path. Yeah. And you can see it. I see your energy around it and how it fills you with so much joy and so much light. Aww. That you can give it back to people. So I just, let's just keep going, because this is all good information. Now, getting back to the whole like love story with money, you talk about writing a love letter to money. I've never thought about that. I've gone through some spiritual work, writing a love letter to like the love life I wanted, writing a love letter to my spirituality or to me for self-care, but money. Never thought about that. Yeah. I want to be in a loving relationship with money. So let's talk about this letter.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like, hopefully what you're seeing is, I want to share with you guys how the ways we don't think about money. We think about our relationships, but we're in relationship with everything. So you are in a relationship with money. And so and you're in a relationship with yourself. So, it's like, oh, let me do the self-love work. Well, what about the relationship over here with your money and your finances? Probably one of the most important top 3 things in your life, right?
Right.
And so I realized, I was like, okay, what is a way that I can share with people that they can just begin the process of starting to heal their relationship with money? And I came up with writing a love letter. And honestly, again, I'm not a rocket scientist, but this was just me doing me, going through my life. And when like I told you, when these relationship coaches talked to me about what was going on in my relationship with men, I was like, man, I need to write a love letter to my money, because you know what? If money were my boo, he'd be gone. He'd be running away from me.
Like, girl, I got to go. Like, you just,
you're too much. Yeah, I gotta write. I've got to heal this relationship. And so I thought, this is such an easy way, a love letter. And I actually use, if you guys have ever heard of the Hawaiian healing prayer called Ho'oponopono. It's a healing prayer. It's a Hawaiian ritual. There's a whole story behind it, and we don't have the time. But let me just tell you, if you want to do any healing work, I love saying things are simple. You know, we overcomplicate it sometimes.
Right.
So this healing prayer is 4 things. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Imagine you're talking to your guy and like, you know what, baby, you're in this like not so good relationship thing going on. And you just walk in and you're like, baby, I love you. I love you because you show up for me. I know what your heart's desire is. I am so sorry that I've been ungrateful. I've been angry. I've brought my baggage into our relationship, a lot of fear and mistrust. Would you please forgive me? Thank you.
Wow.
Healed.
Right there.
Like that. So the process for writing the letter is, it follows that prayer, the I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. You can start anywhere you want. Like, I'm going to read an example. And I did this on day 1 of the challenge, but I started here's like the first part of my love letter that this was years ago. It's an old journal. I do this a lot, by the way.
I see you had all, I saw you, like you guys, before we started, she had proof, like,
like
look at the proof. It's just journals. So y'all gotta get the journals right.
Dear Money, I'm sensing this strained energy between us. I've given into worrying about you and there being enough of you to freely enjoy all that I desire to do and fulfill all of my financial obligations. And here's where I started with the prayer now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bringing this energy towards you. Please forgive me as I ask my angels to help me release all of this energy that doesn't serve me. I love that you are, in fact, so abundant in my life and continue to flow with ease and in large amounts. With ease and in large, you want to write that down, with ease and in large amounts. And then it goes on. But that's like an excerpt of what a love letter would sound like.
Wow. That's the most romantic letter I've heard to money in my entire life, Tasha. Oh my gosh. That sounded like a blissful, so for me, this is what it would sound like, a blissful tropical island. And I am just having the best, sweetest fruits and the best wine and the most comforting food. And oh, the sun is just right. The temperature's just right. The breeze is not, you don't understand. This is
girl, you went there.
I did. But that's the type of relationship it sounds like with money. Like, I am just laid up with this money and it loves me. It comforts me. It wraps its arms around me.
Yeah.
And audience, I know this is what we want to feel when we think about money, because it's how we sustain life in this society, in this realm, in this world.
Absolutely.
And we need to have a better relationship with money.
And one of the things too, like I don't have time to read it, but if you watch day 1 of the challenge, you'll see I read the whole thing. And then I gave everyone an opportunity to get some sample love letters, some that I've written and some from my clients, right? But one of the things, after I wrote the part where I wrote about the healing, right? I then thought to myself, and I'm in an amazing relationship now. And one of the things that we talked about is, what is our vision for our relationship? We actually have a vision for our
did you all create a vision board or journal?
We didn't create a vision board. I created a vision board for him, and it sat on one side of my bedroom, and then he came into my life. But together we sat down and I said, what do you want our vision for our relationship to be? And together we came up with it, right? But why I'm sharing that with you is, what is the vision for your relationship with money? And you just described it, like, that's the way I want to feel in my relationship with money. So part 1 is to write the healing part of the love letter. And then part 2 is like to describe, what do you want this relationship to be like now,
right,
forward? Yeah,
that's powerful, because like I said, we think about so much of how we don't see the money. Some people can just, I see myself in this big house and I see myself with this car, but we got to get there. And it does take financial means to get there.
Yeah.
And we got to do it better.
And what I'm sharing with you guys, and I'm hoping you guys hear, is, I did all of these things without anything truly changing in my financial, like I didn't get a job and then I started doing all this. Like I did all this. I did the stuff I'm saying. I wrote the journal entry about what my life would look like. I was doing the love letter to money. I was working on me and my mind and my relationship with money. And then things started changing in my finances.
Yeah, you've got to make a change with you first for anything, for that area of your life to change.
Yeah.
You definitely do. You have to change your mindset, the words, what you're speaking into yourself, and how you are letting things open up. You're closing so many doors by being negative.
Yeah.
And when you're negative with money, the money's not going to, apparently it's just going to be negative with you.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. I can prove that.
You can prove it. You can prove it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So let's get into that. You said we just started the 5-day money attraction challenge.
Yes.
Now we all think about how we attract so many things in our lives, but honey, we got to attract this money. And
That's
Tasha
right.
is here to help and assist us attract that money. Let's talk about what it entails and how to get into it. Now, y'all, we've got an interesting way of how we're going to get the audience all into it, but let's talk about it, Tasha.
So I came up with this money attraction challenge, and it's 5 days, and I go for about an hour every day. So I want you to think, like, would it be valuable for me to get money mentorship for free for 5 days from someone who has shown other people how to create $47.5 million? And honestly, that was 2 years ago. So it's way more than that, right? Would that be worth my time? I would imagine that it might be, So Monica has got her own link for everyone to use to sign up. I would just encourage you to come spend this time on yourself. I can tell you that I bring a whole new way of showing people how to work on themselves and their relationship with money. And like today, I had someone talk on the live with me who she wrote the love letter to money and then she talked about how the money just started coming from everywhere, but how she went on to even change her romantic relationship. Ended the relationship that wasn't working. She said it like this. She goes, when I heard about the love letter, I said to myself, what if money were my twin flame? Like, what if that was the kind of relationship we would have? Like, she acknowledged, I'm doing a not so great job in that relationship. So she worked on changing the relationship, right? But her physical romantic relationship was showing her signs, and she was doing the same thing. So that ended, and within like 2 or 3 months, in walked her real twin flame. Like, wow. So what I'm saying is, we're going to do this work on money, but it's going to flow over into all the areas of your life. And I promise you, just because I know, because I've done so much work, there's nobody else that's going to show you how to get to the bottom line of what's causing the problems the way I'm going to do in this 5-day challenge.
Well, I'm hooked. Because I mean, you just, like I said, you just think about now hearing you talk and hearing how you've worked with clients. It's just an eye opener. I'm just sitting here. So many thoughts are going through my mind like, oh my gosh, let me take accountability for the way I've been treating this money. Yeah, the way absolutely. I've been thinking about it, and the way I've been thinking about debt. All you constantly hear, but it's all around you. Help you get out of your debt. Help. Debt here. You got debt here. You got to, and all you hear about is debt. And then everybody's like, "What's your credit score?" Well, and you just see things all over that just make you quantify your, where you are in life, and you're just like, I'm nowhere. I don't know. And then you just also, one of the things that I've always said with, some of my fears with money, because I'll admit I do have some fears, is that in your upbringing in the Black community, we're not taught about money in a certain way. We watch our parents and try to know, we're not taught about money in a certain way, whether it was in the home or in school, in the community. However, it's not, it wasn't there.
It's like money is the F word. Right? We just don't talk about it. We don't say that. We don't talk about it. It is the F word. Yeah. One of my clients who's going to come on the day I do money trauma, day 3, he's going to talk about how his trauma was as a kid watching his parents hide and lie to bill collectors and promising himself like that would never oh my God, would never be his thing, because it just made him feel so ashamed, so embarrassed, so all that. Like he, didn't feel respectful to his parents watching them do that. Well, guess what happened in his adult life? Ditto.
Wow.
The exact same thing.
See,
So
and
it's
that's why I say the student loans has been my thing, because I have an older sister.
Mhm.
And she went to college. She wanted to go to school. She went in state. She doesn't have student loans. I wanted to go out of state. Unfortunately, our father had a stroke before I graduated from high school. He's still living, but he had a massive stroke and he couldn't work anymore. And for me to finish college, well, for me to go at the time, I had to have, after my freshman year, I had to get student loans to attend school. I didn't know what that was about, never, had done anything, and had to do that. And then when I didn't, and then I came home to really help with his health, healthcare. And it's just, I wasn't doing well in school.
Yeah.
And then, well, luckily I got a job in the field that I was getting my degree in at the time.
That's
and
awesome.
In 2016 or 17, the university I went to started a program with University of Phoenix, South Carolina State. And I was able to finish online. And the job that my current 9 to 5 was able to do tuition reimbursement.
Wow.
Where I took a little bit of loan out of my 401k, paid for the first few classes. And then as they were reimbursing me, I was paying to finish those last few classes.
Wow.
And that's how I finished without having to get another student loan for that. But all the prior student loans, it's just like, okay, now where do we go from here? And I've done my best with it. But that kind of, like, when I'm talking about the trauma right there, it's like, I didn't know I was have to step into that. I saw my sister finish college with no student loans, no issue. And that's like the trauma, like, wow.
And the thing about trauma is, right, it's not the event, it's your response to the event. So just imagine your dad has had a stroke, right? You're worried about, gosh, we almost lost him.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to go to school. And now that event is the reason you had to take out these loans. Fast forward a few years, you're struggling with it. It wasn't your father having the stroke, right? It was that the event created you going to take out these loans. And how did you respond to it? Like it's a burden for you.
Yeah.
That is the response you had to the event. It created a burden. That's trauma.
Yeah. And that's the big one right there. Because I tell people, I could live a whole nother life if these student loans weren't here.
Exactly.
They've got to go. So now I've got to change my relationship with this coin, honey, and how I talk about these loans. But I will say, if I didn't have the loans and I didn't have the education that I have, I wouldn't have had that job. I wouldn't have got the reimbursement to finish school. I wouldn't have my degree right now. I wouldn't be able to say, I did it. I walked across this stage and my dad was still here to see it.
Oh, yeah. And that's the beauty of this, is that it's not, like, you are not stamped with this for the rest of your life. It's simply learning some tools that you can implement. It's not about working harder to pay off your student loans. Please, if you're hearing my voice, that is not the way. Exit. That is not the way.
Honey, we're gonna have to do that today, because if you've heard the conversations that I done had with Navi and Sally, you would be done. Okay, I told them y'all worse than the mafia here,
right?
Handling shakedowns. Get out my wallet, sir.
So that's it. Like, wouldn't you want to know? Well, is there another way? Yeah. There's another way.
Wow. Well, there's a way.
And it feels good. That way feels good. It's not hard work. It's not all this crazy worrying and stuff. It's just that you don't know how. You know?
Because you don't. All you think about, I'm telling you, the one thing, and I know that so many people think the way I do, like, the one thing you think about is, I want my education. This is something that I've been striving for my whole life. I went to school for this very reason. And then it's like, I got to go to school. Oh, wait, there's money. They need it. How do I,
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, Now I got to get a loan. What's that about? Oh, I've got to learn how to fill out this paperwork, you know, and then being the aunt that I am, because I don't have kids. I have two beautiful nieces. And
Yay.
one is in her senior year of high school. And I'm just like, baby, we got to do everything. So you ain't got to get a student loan. Okay, your grades are up. You got a great night GPA. I am on them. Like anything that they want to do. My youngest niece is a competitive dancer. I am there for her because I'm like, okay, dancing can get you that scholarship, baby. We don't have full ride. I am so in their life about like assisting in my sister and my brother-in-law's, you know, raising them, that it's just like, I'm that extra punch, just like, no, keep it together with your grades, keep it together with your extracurricular activities, do good. You need an internship, you need this. I'm there talking because I'm like, you do not want to have this in your life if you don't have to. You have a way to make it so that you don't have to worry about any of this. Yeah. And I'm right there. And I just see how my sister helps build their relationship with money, and when they get their allowance, and how she's, you know, teaching them to do different things that we weren't taught as kids, you know, with money. And now I got to go do this and be like, okay, well, we're going to start this. Now we've got to write a love letter to money and how we want to live life with that, especially this one about to go to college after this school year. She just started this week, you know, so we've got to change all the mindsets now. I have to go do extra work. I got to do work for me and work for them.
And I want to caution you, especially those of you who are parents and like you, where you have children watching you. People watch my kids and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, let me just tell you, I teach people how to do this. I do not ever call my kids up and go, come here, come in my office. Let me sit you down and show you how to write a love letter to money. Never. I've never done it.
Wow.
Because that's not the way. Kids watch what you do. Because I promise you, if you call them into your office, sit them down, tell them how to write a love letter, they can have all their dreams manifest, blah, blah, blah. Then they watch you struggle to pay your bills. That was a waste of your time.
Okay.
Kids watch what you do, not what you say.
You're right. They do.
So what's happened with my kids is they could teach this whole thing, not because I've taught them, but because they've seen me do it.
Wow.
They've watched me.
You gotta work in your practice.
One of the things that you said you wanted us to talk about was the money manifesting party.
Yes.
And if I were to bring teenagers to something, it would be that, right?
Wow. Okay.
So one of the things that we do, and we do the money manifesting parties usually in January. It's once a year. Like instead of doing a vision board,
so y'all look, you ain't got by that much audience. January is right around the corner. It
is right around the corner.
Right around the corner. We're on the last stretch of this year. Honey, get ready for January. Look, y'all. Tasha's gonna tell you how to follow her at the end of this podcast. We're gonna be at this money manifesting party. Honey.
Absolutely. And if you are one of those, you're like, I do a vision board. Like I am so over vision boards. It's like I've put enough mansions and luxury cars and a sexy body on a piece of paper to last me for the rest of my life. Right. And then it just feels so far-fetched. So I have what I call a money manifested board. I have one for your life, one for your money, and one for your business. But we have a money manifesting party, and we do the one for your money. And listen to the way I named it, your money manifested board. What does that mean?
It's already there.
You put it down, it's done. It's already happened. It's done, right? Power is in the words. So we create this money manifested board. And I'm going to tell you the story about my daughter and her going to law school. So she was in her last year of undergrad, right? And my daughter has always had this philosophy. She's made it very clear to her parents. I'm going to work my behind off to take care of the academics. You all are responsible for the finances, right? And oh, by the way, I need a brand name schools because I like a luxury lifestyle. And so I need brand name schools. So she made it very clear that that's going to be our responsibility. I sat here and I was like, you know what? I could rack my brain about and my daughter, she wants to go to brand name schools. I know how much they cost. It's like buying a house. So I said, I could rack my brain about how I'm going to make this money extra. Or on my manifesto board, I'm looking at it right now. One section of the board is money for a purpose. And I put on there, I'm so grateful. Natasha's law school is paid in full. Period. Not me going to work for it. Not it's going to be this much money I'm going to manifest. I just said paid in full. I wrote that under money. For money, I want you to come into my life. This is what I need you to take care of for me. Her law school is paid in full. Here's what's interesting about doing this process. Natasha got 5 full scholarships. 5. The
Wow.
one she chose was $250,000 in value. That is $250,000 I did not have to come up with, because
Yes.
I put that on my manifested board.
Wow.
So it's not about the how. It's just, what do you want? What's a purpose you have for money? We could talk for hours. You need to be at this money manifested party.
It's just the power that you are helping people realize they have with putting into the universe about the abundance of financial freedom that they want and they would like to have in their life, and knowing that it's going to come in them, and not to worry about how it's going to come, but that it will come.
And if you guys are listening, what I want you to hear is like the stuff that nobody's talking about. Everybody's just telling you work harder or get more debt, right? And I'm telling you, there's stuff inside of you that can change this for you overnight. And nobody's talking enough about that stuff. And that is my mission. I mean, I can do this 5-day challenge and you're going to get 5 hours of me, but I'm just going to be transparent with you. That's only the beginning. That's just the beginning. Right? But none of what I teach people to do, none of it involves their work or making cold calls or doing anything other than working on them.
It's the power of working on you and how you work on you to get that abundance. That's like the theme of what I've heard today in our conversation, is the power of working on self to receive the abundance.
Absolutely.
Yes. And it's just amazing, your story of how you say, I was at my darkest moment dealing with so many different things, and I needed to find a way out, and this was your light out of your tunnel. And now you're like, I've gotten it. And you're not being selfish with it, because sometimes people can be selfish with these things. They don't want to bring other people to the table. You said, no, I got here. Let me help others.
You can't shut me up. I will. You messaged me. You're like, can you come on my podcast? Sure. I mean, today of all days, I'm in a 5-day launch with thousands. Like, I think our group has 17 or 20,000 people. This is not what I should be doing today. Let me just tell you.
No, but you know what? I was just telling my manager, like, I was doing, I've been doing this podcast thing for over a year now. And sometimes I felt like it was work. Like, I was changing of how I went through therapy and spirituality to really help me and heal me. And I just felt like some of the conversations I was having on the podcast, not that they were bad, but they just weren't what was coming into my spirit. So I had to take that mental health time off for various reasons. And as I took that time off, things just kept bugging me. Like, you got to get back to your podcast. So I was like, no, I got to do this differently. And I prayed about it. And then I was like, all these people I'm following about manifesting and how they're doing it, or how they're living their life intentionally, and those type of people, I have so many of those type of interviews already set up for this next half of the next part of this year, that it's just like, I just talked to him and I was like, I want to come at this podcast differently. I'm not changing much. It's just how I receive those interviews and those guests and how I'm going to talk to my audience.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
So when I reached out to you, it was actually right after that conversation. And I was like, wow, this is the type of conversation. If we're going to talk about business, because I've talked about money management on here with a friend who's an influencer. Not that she did a terrible job. She did a great job with giving pointers, but it was a good conversation. But I guess I needed to just come at it in a different way. Yeah. It's like, it's similar topics, similar conversations, but the way I'm coming about it, the type of people that are coming into me.
And I want you to use you as an example, right? You went and you worked on you,
Mm-hmm.
And then you came back and you started attracting different things, right? That are in alignment with where you want to go now. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying about the money. Go work on you and your relationship with money. And then you're going to see it just start showing up for you differently.
It'll be
Exactly the point.
That is exactly the point here, honey. We are aligning things in in better ways with our life.
Yes.
I simply love this. This is amazing. I love the work that you're doing, Tasha. And audience, we're going to put that link out about how you can join this 5-day money challenge. We are definitely going to, so look for it. I'll put it in my bio on Instagram, on both my pages, Tea Time and my underscore the Curvy Diva. I'll put it on Facebook. If you want me to email it to you, I'll put it in the show notes so that you guys can do this work for yourselves. Because I know there are other people out there like me who are now realizing they have that money trauma. They need to write that love letter. They aren't thinking about money in a different way. They aren't thinking about the freedom. They're thinking about all the negative things they've ever experienced with money. And we need to change that.
Yes, ma'am. Let's do it.
Yes.
And one last thing I'll say, like above all things, my heart's desire is on day 5, we're going to talk about how to become the goose. You know how we're all like, oh, I want the golden egg.
Yes.
I don't want the golden egg, baby. I want to be the goose.
And
I can lay all the golden eggs.
That's what I was saying. I want to lay all the golden eggs. I don't just want the egg. I want to be the person who lays the eggs.
Yeah,
I want to be the supplier.
Yes.
Yes. I want to be the supply. And a woman, honey, we can, because we birth so many things.
Absolutely.
And we can birth this money right into our lives.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Monica.
Thank you for coming on. Now, before we get off this call, I need you to let the audience know how they can also follow you, learn about all your work and how to contact you and everything.
All right. So I'm just going to say Instagram, right? It's probably the easiest way. So I'm at Tasha Powell Chen. Tasha Powell, like Colin Powell. So Tasha Powell Chen on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Truthfully, I play more on Facebook. So if you want to go to Facebook and search 2 things, Tasha Chen speaker, you'll find me. But where I'm having these conversations, I actually have a whole community. So if you're looking for a family where you can talk about money and your financial dreams and not be, what are you, girl, crazy? How are you going to do that? No. If you want to be in like high vibe, positive energy, and it is high vibe, then you want to search for Money Attraction Community. That's the name of the Facebook group. We've got like probably close to 20,000 people in there now. So Money Attraction Community is another way too. So there you have it. 3 ways. Any which way, come at me.
Come at it. You guys, you got to follow Tasha. You got to click on the link that's in my bio, or like I said, if you need it in the show notes, you need it emailed to you, reach out to me. I'll get you this link. You've got to get in this challenge. You've got to change your relationship with money. You got to change your relationship with yourself so that you can be in alignment with all the financial freedom and the abundance that you deserve in your life. Yes. So audience, thank you for listening to Tea Time with Monica. Thank you again to Tasha for joining us today and teaching us and talking to us about money manifested. All right. Bye, love.